lecture basically is mastering goal setting and planning, and is presented by Great Quest Young Professional Club, and our facilitator today is Purity Okoro. So I want to tell you a little bit about who she is. Okay, so Purity Okoro is a business analyst and productivity system expert with over 7 years of experience helping individuals and organizations plan clearly, execute internationally, and achieve meaningful results. She holds a bachelor's degree in medical fabric sciences from the University of Nigeria in Nsukka and a postgraduate certificate in technology, entrepreneurship, and design with a strong background spanning healthcare, business, and data analysis. Purity has coached and worked with hundreds of young professionals, guiding them to build structured systems, set actionable goals, and sustain progress over time. When she's not working, she enjoys gisting, meeting new people, teaching, and dancing. Oh my goodness, this Purity, I really need to meet her, right? Because she's so much, in one person, right? So please, when she does come online, please let us welcome her, like, as the queen that she is, okay? So please, she'll come on online in a few seconds. So please, let's do so to welcome her well. Thank you so much as she do so.
Thank you so much, Lolo, for that introduction. Hi, everyone. Please, if you can hear my voice, I need you to drop thumbs up. Just drop an emoji, a sticker, something. Just respond. I need to be sure that you all can hear me, please. You can actually unmute yourself. You can hear me. Please just say hello back. Hi, everyone. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, Chizima. Hi, thank you. Please also confirm that you can see my screen properly. All right, let's get started. Hi everyone, once again, I'm Purity, and this session today is really going to be around goal setting and planning. Um, and what is going to help us to achieve is to know how to go about whatever it is we set our minds to do for 2025. Sorry, 2026. 2026. So going on to what we have today, what we intend to achieve is to explain goal setting frameworks that are going to actually help us know how to set our goals properly, go on to also know how to plan and prioritize the things that we've set out to do, and then also learn how to create different types of boards. There are vision boards, there are prayer boards, there are action boards, and then we would also learn how to track our goals and know if we're even achieving them or not. And then we'll have a bit of games here and there, discussions, and hopefully we are able to respond to any questions that you may have. Having established what we are looking at learning today, if you had filled the pre-session survey, you would find out that one of the questions I asked there was, if you've set any goals before and what challenges you're facing. And from some of the responses that, for those who filled, shared with us, we'll be able to answer some of those questions in this session. So let's all stay tuned. And then we'll ask ourselves, why do we need to set goals? Why do we need to set goals? To be honest, it's simply to help you know what you're doing per time, help you have some form of order in your life, help you not fall for any and everything. Like every single person who comes to you and said, "Oh, we have a party, let's go," and then you jump off your seat and you're off to the party without checking, does this fit into my schedule? Does this work for me right now? And all. So really, that is one of the major reasons why we're setting goals. But the question we're going to also like to answer today is, what is goal setting? It's as simple as identifying what I want to achieve, go ahead to state how I want to achieve it by creating a clear roadmap, and moving on to defining the actions that I'm going to take to help me achieve those things and the outcome I'm expecting, so that even if anything goes south, I would know what I'm actually looking forward to as my result, right? So if you're always the person who is constantly busy and all, you need to also check, are you being busy for being busy sake, or you're being busy and you're productive, right? So like I already established, there are different reasons why we set goals. Functional reasons, like I grouped them, and emotional reasons. Functional reasons are things like, oh, it helps you to know what you're doing, it helps you to increase your focus, it helps you to know how to prioritize and know what to pick per time. It helps you with decision making. For example, when that friend comes on to say, there's this event I want us to go for. Meanwhile, you have a catering job that you need to actually attend to. You would know not to go for the catering job because that's sorry, you know not to go for the party because the catering job is what is going to be more important to you based on your current set of values. It also helps to increase our accountability to each other. For example, you might have a friend who always checks in on you to say, "Oh, what's up? You said you're going to do this and you've not done it." No matter how many times that friend checks in on you, if you have not decided by yourself that you're actually going to do this thing for yourself, you may not be able to achieve it. So it also helps increase accountability for ourselves. And it helps makes improvement easy because if you are able to track what you're doing, then you can actually know whether you're improving on them or not. And then going on to the emotional part, that's how does it make me feel? It will boost, your confidence. By the time you say, I'm going to wake up by 4 a.m. tomorrow, and you wake up by 4 a.m., trust me, your day is made. You're going to be so proud of yourself that you actually woke up early because you said you will and you did. So it boosts your confidence. You say you're going to write a particular exam at a particular time and you actively work towards writing the exam. You would feel like in yourself that I have actually done something great. So you get that sense of fulfillment. It will also help reduce, panic and continuous anxiety. Because if you're not clear on what you should do per time, you would find yourself feeling anxious, like there's a lot of anxiety around you and all, and you might end up falling into the temptation of, look at this, my classmate, she's doing this, he's doing that, and you start comparing yourself. You're comparing yourself because you are not clear on what you actually are supposed to be doing per time or what you should be doing. So setting your goals would also help you reduce and eliminate that comparison trap and take away the fact that you feel like you're in one place. If you don't measure something, you actually don't know whether you're moving forward or you're moving backward. So when you don't even have anything in mind or anything clear that you're setting and you're working towards, you will feel like you're in one place. I don't know how many people feel that way sometimes when as the year is going by, you're like, what have I even achieved this year? November comes and you're like, Jesus, the year is almost over. What have I achieved? If you literally sit down and look back, or if you have actually been documenting what you've been doing, you would find that you've done a lot. I mean, I'll give an example. Earlier, last year, towards the end of last year, my mom came around. So we had like I told them that I wanted to review my 2025, but I'm going to involve you people so that you people would see how I do it, right? And my mom was like, what did she even achieve in 2025? I was like, okay, everybody take a book and pen, write down what those things that you think you did this year, and the ones that you probably plan to do that you did not do. I'll take my brother for an example. He wrote down four things, but by the time he was speaking, I'm sure he spoke about 10 things that he achieved. So if you don't actually take note of them, you would feel like you're stagnated, and it would also not give you that sense of control or ownership on what is going on in your life. You feel like life is just moving you up and down. Adulthood is adulting and all of that. So aside from all of these things, goal setting also helps us to manage inconsistency and procrastination because you know what you want to do per time and you're clear on it. You know your why. You remember why you want to go ahead to do it. When you want to move it forward, your mind tells you, if I move this thing forward, I'm not going to achieve this, and this is how it's going to make me feel. I'll feel like I've failed myself. So it helps with inconsistency and procrastination. While we proceed with the session, please, if you have any question, do well to raise your hand or drop it in the comments, and Lolo will help read out the question in the comments. And if I see your hand, I'll call you up as well. Then going on to how to set our goals. The SMART goals framework is something that organizations use for those of us that are already in our 9 to 5 and in the corporate space. Organizations use the SMART framework to even set their own business goals. So we might as well use it ourselves to help us get some form of clarity and direction. So what does the SMART mean? Specific, S stands for specific, M stands for measurable, A stands for achievable, R stands for relevant, and T stands for time bound. Some school of thought would say R stands for realistic, but relevant is the one that is mostly used because realistic also seems to be the same thing as achievable. And when you're setting your goals, you need to make sure that your goals are at least meeting up with these frameworks that already exist, right? You need to be clear on what you want to do. You need to be specific. You need to be able to define what you want to do by using the 5 Ws to even ask the question, what do I want to accomplish? Why is this important to me? who is involved, where will this happen, and which resources do I even need to be able to achieve this particular thing that I want to achieve. And this why, of all the five whys, the one I particularly hold in high esteem is sorry, of all the five W's, the one I hold in high esteem is the why. Because even when push comes to shove, like life is dealing with you and everything is going almost looking like it's going on wrong, by the time you remember why you have decided to do a particular thing, you don't need motivation from outside. That's the natural booster that you need to actually get on to what you need to do. So that's on specific. Moving on to measurable. Measurable simply speaks to how you're able to track progress, or how you're able to track if you're moving forward or not, right? And this can be answered using the how question. How much am I expecting to get by the time I start this business? How many books do I have in mind to read by the end of 2026? How will I even know when I have achieved this? Okay, by the time I make up to 20 posts online, I would have achieved my goal, because I set out that I would make 20 posts by the end of January, or I would have done the complete 30 days challenge because I want to build a social media presence. I mean, we all have different goals that we want to achieve, but you need to be able to attach some level of measurability to it, so that you're not just working, and you're not even checking to see what you are looking forward to getting at the end of the day. The third framework, metric in the framework, is achievable. This is the part that speaks to how realistic is this goal. I want to make 10 million by the end of February. How do I want to achieve it? What's my plan? Is it realistic? Is it something I can attain? Please mute yourself once you join the call. Thank you. Is this something I can actually attain? Or am I just going to be doing dreaming? I want to make 10 million by February and then the money lands in my account. Boy, that's not a realistic goal. If I look at my current situation, I mean, maybe for you, you can achieve it, but with my current situation, 10 million by February is me dreaming. So I need to set, I mean, we all need to set achievable goals based on our current realities. What do I want to do? Okay, I need to take this exam. How do I have the money to pay for the exam? There's this certification I need to get. How much is it? Do I even have the ability to read in terms of resource? What time do I have? Can I set out at least 30 minutes a day to read for this exam? Do I have the money to pay for it? What obstacles might I face? There are some days I'll come back from work and I'm going to be very tired and I'm not able to study. How do I make up for those kind of days? I need to, like, we all need to preempt possible challenges and work backwards to try to solve them. Then moving on to R, which is relevant. Based on my current situation, based on what I want to do right now, how relevant is this thing to me? I want to write IELTS because I'm planning to leave the country, or I want to write GRE because I'm applying for a PhD in the US, or I want to write PMP exam because I'm trying to break into project management as a career path. If I'm not able to establish that this goal I want to work on, or this goal I'm trying to achieve, aligns with my long-term vision, then we're all wasting our time, right? So you need to ask yourself, does it align with your long-term vision? Is this your goal, or is this somebody's expectation of you? Oh, they said I should do this, but do you really want to do it though? If you don't want to, then you probably need to rethink on why it is actually on your goal for 2026. Then the last metric on the SMART framework is time bound. We can, be specific. We can state what we intend to see as results by the end of 2026. We can also tell that, okay, this is something that I really want, right? And based on my current situation, I can achieve it. But if we don't specify when we want to accomplish this thing, how long am I giving myself? What are the milestones I need to stick along the way? I know I want to relocate by the end of 2026. However, I will not jump and quickly enter December to have relocated. I need to probably write an exam. I need to, if it's for those Canada PR, I need to have already started applying. I need to get my documents ready. So those smaller milestones are important to establish them, so that it also gives you a sense of, okay, I'm doing something. Yes, I know I wanted to relocate by the end of 2026, but this is April and I haven't relocated. However, from January to April, this and this and this were the things that I did. And these things I did them when I set out to do them. Okay, by the end of March, I should have submitted my application for that particular scholarship or whatever it is. If you don't set a timeline to it, it will be open ended and you may never achieve it. I mean, obviously, one of the reasons why when you are applying for jobs or scholarships, there's a deadline to it because they can't keep taking applications forever. So we need to set our goals bearing these five metrics in the SMART framework in mind. Then, as a form of example, these are just two goals that I thought to use to establish what we have just learned in the SMART framework. I want to get fit. Okay, that's a wish, that's a dream. I want to grow my business. How? With whom? What do you want to use it? When? So moving on to applying the SMART framework, we go from I want to get fit to from February 1st to May 31st, I will improve my physical fitness by working out at least 3 times per week. You can now decide to include the type of exercises you want to do within that your workout period. Maintaining a consistent working routine of at least 3,000 steps per day with the goal of increasing my strength, stamina, and overall energy. If we look at how this goal ties into the framework, we'll find out that it's as specific as possible by telling us how many times we want to work out or what we want to do, which is by working out, right? First of all, what we want to do is that we want to even improve our physical fitness. Then it goes on to tell us the how, which is by working out 3 times a week and taking at least 3,000 steps a day. And we're able to measure our goal by the number of workouts we're doing per week. We're able to check if it's achievable in terms of the frequency, my time schedule. Can I do 3 times? Does it work with my schedule, or do I just reduce it to two? Do I have the capacity to do up to 4 times? Because you don't want to also bring down your goal to the point that it's too easy to achieve, and you don't want to overstretch it to the point that it's too difficult to achieve. You want to make it realistic as possible, so that you're not building castles in the air, right? And then how relevant is it? I mean, I visited the hospital and the doctor said I need to watch my weight. I have the tendency to be obese or whatever condition it is. Or just maybe I think at this time of my life, I want to take my health seriously and build my overall energy level and all of that. What's my time frame for it? Between February 1st and May 31st, between January 1st and December 31st, which is the case for so many of us that have been saying, I need to hit the gym this year. So, I mean, you need to actually establish your time frame, right? And make sure that it's time bound. Then for the second example is also the same thing. This one also talks about wanting to launch, grow the person's business by launching at least one paid digital product, and see how to get 10 paying clients that will help you generate a certain value within a certain time frame. And what is the reason for it? Because you want to grow your business. Through how are you going to achieve all of this? Is by doing marketing intentionally and consistently, putting out content, and even like talking about it to people. So if you're able to set your goals using this framework, trust me, most of the work that needs to be done to help you achieve it has actually been done, a part of it, right? So I don't know if there are any questions before I continue. Okay. Moving on to planning, prioritizing, and time management. We're adults. A lot is going on in our lives right now, and sometimes it even seems like we don't even have time to call our parents, our friends. We need to put it on our calendar, set an alarm that will remind us. If you don't actually plan and prioritize, you will not be able to achieve your goals. So planning speaks to I have this heavy goal I want to achieve. How do I break it down to make it easier for me to achieve them? How do I reduce it to the tiniest form such that when I look at that tiniest form, it gives me the boost to get to do it. I am not scared because I am saying I want to raise 1 million naira. I'm reducing it to saying that I want to make a weekly sales of 10,000. I mean, every week, 20,000 every week. How many clients do I need to meet to be able to generate 20,000 every week? It means that if my product is sold at 5,000 naira, barest minimum by the end of the week, I should have sold to 2 customers, right? And what it means is that by the end of 1 week, I've gotten 10,000 naira by selling to 2 customers. But if I look at my end goal and start from how much I want to generate, break it down to how much will it eventually be on a month-on-month basis or quarterly basis first, then monthly, how much does that translate to? If I say weekly, what will be my weekly effort? Then on a day-to-day basis, what are my inputs that can actually help me achieve these things? If you don't break these big goals into smaller tasks, I promise you, You will be looking at your goal in your wall and you're like, God, what the heck? Who sent me to do this thing? So there's a need to break these big goals down into smaller tasks that can make them easier for us to achieve. Then going on to prioritization, there will be distractions, there will be confusions, there will be times where everything is happening at the same time and we're going to feel overwhelmed. But we can leverage the Eisenhower metrics to actually prioritize and know what to do per time. And this metric speaks to knowing which task falls under which section, which task is important and urgent, important but not urgent, not important and not urgent, not important and urgent. So this, as in our metrics, is split into four quadrants, with the first quadrant speaking to urgent and important. This is the section, or this is the quadrant that we most times find ourselves in, but we should work hard to not be in, because this quadrant actually makes it difficult for us to meet up certain things that we want to do. Why? Because we have waited and those things have caught up with us in terms of timeline. So these tasks that actually have clear deadlines, and they need us to do them immediately. The ones that are important but not urgent is where we need to spend 85% of our time. We need to make sure that most of our activities, like at least 85% of these activities, fall within the important and not urgent quadrant. What it helps us to do, it gives us breathing space. We're able to plan it, we're able to schedule it, and work with set deadlines to actually achieve them. And we're not always like in a hurry to get to do them. Then the part that is urgent but not important. It is urgent that I fix the bulb in my flat, but it is not important that I do it myself. So I get someone that is an electrician to fix the bulb while I do something else. It is urgent that I produce packaging materials right now, but it's not important that I do it myself. So I outsource it. So this is where we figure out which task can we actually delegate, because you can't do everything yourself, if we're being honest. So you need to look at all those things that you've set out to do, find out the ones that you can plan for, the ones that you need to do by yourself, and the ones that you need to delegate to people to do. And finally, the ones that need to get out of the window because they are not important and they're not urgent. In terms of importance, what will help you to determine it is based on what your current state is, like what you want to achieve for yourself. That is what is going to help you actually know which task to delete and which task to schedule, do, or delegate. I hope this actually is clear and there are no confusions. Please let me know if you have any question. Feel free to stop me at any point. And then moving on to time management, we're able to manage our time in different ways, right? We can employ the time blocking technique, which is saying that I'm going to wake up by 4 a.m. and between 4 a.m. and 4:30, I would say my morning prayer. You've already blocked a time for something. Between 4:30 to 4:45, I should have had my bath and I should have gotten ready to leave for work or for morning mass. Or between 8 a.m. and 12 p.m., I'm going to be focusing on work. So once you're able to split your 24 hours into different time blocks and assign tasks to them, it's easier to actually get things done than just allowing life to just happen to you and just, when you wake up, oh, I've woken up, okay, what do I have to do today? I mean, some days can be like that because we're humans, we can be tired and all, but it's important that you make the effort to employ a time blocking technique to help you plan and become more organized. Another technique we can use to manage our time is the Pomodoro technique. And this technique is simply the technique that allows us to use a timed focus period. So you're saying for 25 minutes, I'm going to focus on this task. And after 25 minutes has passed, you need to set an alarm for that actually, if you know you want to really follow the Pomodoro technique. After 25 minutes has passed, I take a 5-minute break and then come back to that task the next 25 for another 25 minutes, take another 5-minute break, repeat the same thing, another 25 minutes. And then after this third 25 minutes, I go on to take a longer break of between 30 minutes and all. So what it simply does is to help us build flow. There's something called flow. Like when you're doing something initially, that initial momentum is not there. It's when you've done it a bit, it now looks like, somebody coming to call you to come and join them to do a particular thing seems like the worst thing they could have done to you at that time. because you are already getting into your flow. So using Pomodoro technique actually helps to build flow. And you might find out that by the second time, you might be reconsidering whether to take the 5 minutes break or not. It's up to you, but it's just to let you know that it helps you build flow and momentum and gets you moving on what you need to do. So most importantly, where we need to be almost all the time is in the second quadrant where the task is important but it is not urgent. A lot of us always find ourselves in the important and urgent quadrant, me inclusive. I'm not excluding myself, right? Because most times we just want to just be and then things catch up with us. But that's not the best way to go about it. So this session is to help you and help myself to also be reminded that we need to learn how to plan ourselves, move our task from being important and urgent to important but not urgent, so that it gives us time and breathing space to actually work on them. I hope we've been having a good time so far. I don't know if there are any questions in the chat box or if anyone has anything they'd like to say. If not, we will play a quick game to get our energies up. Please, if you've been enjoying the session so far, I don't know, give me a thumbs up. Your favorite emoji, just drop something, please, so that I'm sure that this session is being helpful and productive. Thank you, Chinwe. I can see your heart. Well, I mean, heart emoji, but in essence, your heart. Okay, so we move on to our game. Please, hope you have your phones ready. We'll play a game. Let me drop the some please can you help drop the link to the game in the chat so that everyone can actually join in for the game. To see a quick pulse check on how the session has been for us so far and if we are actually catching on. Please drop a thumbs up if you joined the game because it will be starting in the next 1 minute. Let's see. I'm actually the only one that has joined. Hi, Josephine. Okay, I should leave the game. I'm not playing anyways. Hi, Amavi. Hi, Josephine. Hi, Anne. Hi, Joy. Hi, Betha. Hi, Adobe, Osla, Maria. Just to mention, there'll be something for the top performers in this game. So please bring your A game. Thank you. Hi, Rita. We're 25 on the call, but we have only a few persons join the game. Hi, Lucy. Hi, Anihita. Nazo, welcome. We'll start at exactly 4:45. 13 out of 26 is not a good number. We need the rest of us to join the game. Please join, join, join. Okay, so it's 4:45. We'll just start the game immediately. This game is just to check to see how we have been able to understand what I've learned so far. Please confirm that you can see the game on your end. What does the M in SMART Goals framework stand for? Meaningful, measurable, motivating, manageable. Let's see. Just listening. Let's see what the answer is. Measurable, and gratefully and thankfully, all of us got it. Uh, yeah. So we go to the next question. Which of these is a SMART goal? I want to be more productive. I want to save money. I will save 50,000 naira monthly from February to June 2026. I want to work harder this year. Oh, okay. So there needs to be a bit of explanation here. I mean, it's good to work hard, but how hard do you want to work this year? I mean, it's good to be more productive, but in what sense? Do you want to be more productive by studying 5 times, or maybe twice every week? Do you want to work harder by starting a new business that's going to help you generate, um, you know, 20,000 naira every week? You need to actually be specific. Make sure that the goal is measurable, achievable, realistic, relevant, as well as time bound. So for those of us who actually selected, I want to be more productive and I want to work harder this year, I hope this clarifies. Then the next question is planning means predicting everything that will happen. Is this true or false? Please, those that picked true, I like to interact with you, please, just in case if you're into some form of, you know, seeing into the future. Because how do you predict everything that will happen? It's not possible. So that you plan does not mean that you can predict everything that will happen. So false is the correct answer. And the next question, which quadrant should receive the most intentional planning? Urgent and important, urgent and not important, urgent, important and not urgent, not important and not urgent. Which of the quadrants should we give the most intentional planning to? Okay. Most of us actually selected the wrong answer, and I'll explain this quadrant thing again. So you don't want to find yourself in a situation whereby everything you're doing is urgent and important at the same time. You should be able to identify important things, but make sure that they are not yet urgent. So you need to identify them on time so you can have enough time to work towards them. You want to apply for a scholarship. When is the deadline? Deadline is 31st of March, and this is just 25th of January. You need to start now to actually start working towards submitting your scholarship application before March 31st. When you start working on your scholarship application by March 30th, 20 something, you are already in the urgent and important quadrant, because it's important that you apply for the scholarship and it has now become urgent. So we should receive the quadrant that we should spend more time in is the important and not urgent, because that is where will give us the breathing space to actually do these things better. Then the next question, what is the main purpose of the Pomodoro technique? To work longer hours, to avoid distraction, to improve focus, using timed work sessions, to finish tasks faster at all costs. Which one is the reason why we're using Pomodoro technique? Thank you. To improve focus using timed work sessions so that we're able to work within time blocks and drive up our flow. And the next question is, what is the most common reason people don't achieve their goals? Lack of motivation, lack of intelligence, poor planning and follow through, village people. Some people would say it's village people, but I mean, I think we're all responsible for what happens to us. Yes, poor planning and follow through. If you don't plan well and if you don't follow through with your tasks, you won't be able to achieve your goal. So thank you very much for participating. And we have Ima leading with the fastest finger at 58 seconds, and Anne at 1 minute 3 seconds, Chidima at 45 seconds. Kindly ignore my name. And then Maria at 55 seconds. So for the first three people who have participated actively in this game, you get to have a 60 minutes clarity session and planning with me, a free 60 minutes clarity and planning session with me. Just reach out to me. I mean, I would please just drop your full name in the chat box so that I would reach out to you and we can decide on when exactly to have that session. Thank you for participating in the game, and we go back right into our session. Please, if you have any question, again, feel free to drop it in the comments. Okay, there seems to be a question in the chat box. Let me see. Thank you, Chidima. I'm glad you enjoyed you enjoyed the game. How do we manage external distractions, especially when we have no control over it? Thanks, Victoria, for that question. The first thing is we actually have control over external distractions. As funny as it sounds, you have control over what you accept and what you don't accept. Right. So the question is, these things that we're calling external distractions, are they actually things that are important, but to us we're beginning to see them as distractions? Why do they keep reoccurring? How do I prevent them from happening? Maybe I'll give an example of, say I'm supposed to have this session by 4 p.m. And then a friend had reached out to say, what's up? Sunday now, let's hang out. And the person says, maybe hangout is not a serious word. Let's just say maybe a friend calls me to say that they're in the hospital and they need my attention. You see, there are two important things that I need to do, right? I need to host this session and I also need to show up for my friend. However, well, there are two urgent things. Sorry. Two of them are urgent. They need my attention immediately. But not both of them are very important to me at that time. While I love my friend and I like to show up for my friend, in that moment, what I can do is to call someone to please say, can you show up for this person? Or ask the person that has called me to say, please, can you give me 2 hours? I have a session and I need to be there. It needs me. It's not something I can delegate. I need to be at the session. So I can delegate another friend to go and see this friend if it's not well, or simply move it further by scheduling it. So at that time, both of them are important, but they are sorry, both of them are urgent, but they are not both important in that moment. So I picked the more important one and the more urgent one, which is to host the session and leave the one that is urgent but not important in the delegate section. I ask someone to do it, or I completely delete it, or I find a way to make it not to be urgent anymore by moving it forward by asking the person if I can come in the next 2 hours. I don't know if this example actually answers your question or helps explain it better, but we actually have control over external factors. It's a matter of asking ourselves what is important to us. Even though it's urgent, is it really important that I do this thing now? Is it important that I do it myself as well? So that's an explanation to how you can manage external distractions and all of that. So we move on to the next section, which is vision boarding and goal tracking. Some people are good with just writing down and they go. Some people will tell you, everything I want to do is in my head, though. I don't need to write it. I mean, if you say so. However, those who have written it down have done better than those who have not written it down, right? So, after documenting what you want to achieve using the SMART framework, it can help to actually see your destination in front of you, whether as a screensaver, whether as a wallpaper in your house. It's important to see your end goal, maybe a part of your end goal, to serve as an additional booster to you, even in the presence of you remembering why you want to do it. The why is the technical aspect. Why am I doing this? Because so and so reason. The vision board is the emotional side of it. It sort of gives you a boost of energy when you see your destination. It's a lot easier for you to say, "Oh, I like that. I like that picture of that girl." Right. So visualizing our goals go a long way to actually help us work towards achieving our goals. So what is a vision board? A vision board, as it's called vision, it shows your destination, right? A prayer board is more like a spiritual anchor. It has your destination, but maybe you have now decided to use some parts of the Bible, some verses in the Bible to add to it as your spiritual boost to say, God, I'm holding on to this your word in the Bible, or just in case if we have Muslims here, I'm holding on to this your word in the Quran, right? To um, help me serve as another energy source to help achieve my goal. Then action board for some people that want to, be nitty gritty. It shows a roadmap of, okay, this is what I'm going to do by Q1. I should have done this by Q2. I should have done this by Q3. I should have done this by Q4. I should have done this. That's quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, and quarter four, right? But in all, these three boards simply are visual representations of what we want to achieve, the desired outcome that we're looking forward to getting, so that at the end of the day, whenever we look at them, it sort of keeps us motivated and makes what we want to achieve top of mind for us. So I already established why we need to create a vision board. It serves as motivation and it increases focus and clarity as well in very nice ways. And then how can we visualize our goals? First of all, like I already established, you reflect on what you want to achieve, clarify these goals using the SMART framework, pick a theme. This is optional. You can pick what is that main thing that the moment I hear or remember this word, it reminds me quickly of what my goal is for this particular period or for this particular life area, right? For example, 2025, I had in mind to do a lot of things around, building. So, like maybe building social media presence, building my business, building career. I decided to use the word build because I didn't want to feel pressured to have so many completed activities by the end of 2025. I wanted to constantly remind myself that I'm in the building phase. Like whatever I'm doing is going to be, adding up to each other. So it depends on what phase you are in and what totally shows you where you're headed. You pick a theme that represents that your target. Then you can go on social, on Pinterest, online, or even check for magazines. For those that prefer physical boards, you can get magazines and find images, words, quotes that actually resonate with these goals that you want to achieve. Get them cut out or copy them and paste them, save them, and then go ahead to now decide, okay, which goal seems to be similar. I want to save 100,000 by the end of 2026 is a financial goal. I want to have invested 50,000 naira by the end of 2026 is also a financial goal. I want to write PMP certification exam is a career goal. So you pick different life areas that match what your different goals are speaking to. Then put those goals into those buckets and organize them that way. Then go ahead to use those images that you have gathered, words that you have gathered, quotes that you have gathered to position them on the board. You can use Canva to do this. Source your image on Pinterest and arrange them on Canva, or you can source your pictures on Pinterest, print them out, use scissors and cut them out, get a frame. It can be an existing frame already or a stencil or just a frame. You can tell a carpenter to do a frame for you. Then you cut those images out, use gum and paste it. It's actually a very nice bonding activity. If you want to bond with family and friends, you can call your people together and just you guys can do work on your vision board, physical vision board together, right? Or you can simply do it on Canva and you have something that looks like this, right? So this is just to show us that wherever it is that we're headed, I want to travel to maybe Paris for the holiday. I can put an image from Paris on my vision board to remind me that this is where I'm headed. I want to eat healthier this year. I put an image of a good food, or I want to work out more. I put an image of somebody who is working out. In fact, what people even do these days is that they take their own picture, go on AI, maybe Gemini, and generate an image of themselves in those things. They sort of get a prompt. You can tell ChatGPT to write a prompt that would help you generate an image of you doing what and what, a Gemini prompt you can send. Do you get? So you can ask ChatGPT, give me a Gemini prompt of me in a very fit body, of me in Paris, upload a picture, and you take that prompt and go to Gemini and generate the picture. You can do that, or you can just find pictures online and add it to help increase your motivation when you see your vision board. I don't know if there are any questions, but if there are none, we'll move on to the next phase, which is tracking our goals. Whatever is not tracked cannot be improved upon. And I'll say that again. Whatever is not tracked cannot be improved upon. And what this means is that if you're not checking that you are achieving these things, you cannot know if you are doing them or not. If you need to put in more effort, if you're even almost achieving them and you need to just move on to the next things that are important to you. So there are tools that we can use to track our goals. For digital tools, you can use Google Sheets, Notion, Excel. You can also use fiscal notepads. You can use planners. I have a planner that I use. You can use a planner. You can use an ordinary notepad, to write down what you want to achieve and tell yourself that every third Saturday of the month, I'll come back to this my journal to check what I have done based on the timeline I have given it. If you don't want to go the whole fiscal route, you can simply use tools like Google Calendar to schedule in things, activities that you need to do, scheduling your check-in time when you want to check in with yourself and say, how far? Purity, this thing, what's up? You can use your task management apps as well. You can use the Google Tasks to document what you need to do every day. You can use your notepad on your phone to write down your to-do list. There's also another app, Todoist, right? And then you can have your goals housed in one place. I call it goal headquarters, like where you have everything seated and you always go back to check. And then you document your wins, you document your progress, you document your struggles or difficulties, right? What you need to track to actually help you know where you're headed is things that are within your control. Those ones are called leading indicators. I want to make 20 posts by the end of January. It's within my control because I can sit down and design those posts and I make 20 posts. but I want to get 50 followers by the end of January is a lagging indicator because it's a result. It's not within my control. I'm not the one who tells everyone who sees my post to follow me. So I can set it as a lagging indicator, right? And then I also want to be able to have finished 2 books by the end of March. So by the end of March, I check how many books have I read. 2 is a milestone that I have achieved. It's something I've achieved. I write it somewhere. I find maybe a notepad again and write it in and call this notepad my brag sheet. This book is my brag sheet or is my win tracker. Or I write it down on my Notion app or Google Sheets just to be able to help me go back to say, okay, I did this, I did this, I did that. Yes, you did that, right? If not, by the end of the year, you'll be asking yourself, what did I even do? And you, to be honest, you will most likely not remember the things that happened throughout the year. Not most likely, that is what happens. So if you don't document your wins, you're not able to even tell yourself that you're doing well. And then you can also record difficulties that you face so that you watch if there are patterns to these things and you can tell what you did to overcome it and what you can do to even prevent it from happening again and things that you've learned, right? So in all of these things that I have talked about, just to reestablish that we are not working towards perfection, we're working towards progress, please. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to fall, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to struggle continually. But what is important is that we're moving forward consistently. Oh, I did not do that thing well yesterday. My element that the way I even responded, okay, today I'm going to try to be a bit more professional when responding. Why? Because my goal this year is to try to see if I can be promoted. So I need to learn to do the things that can help me achieve those goals. Not because you're being dubious, but because that's an effort you have to put in to achieve those things. So please, progress over perfection. So I don't know if we have any question before we get into the last lap of the session. Okay, so I think we have eventually experienced a technical glitch. And this is also what happens. No matter how much you plan, you're not able to predict what happens, right? So our breakout session is going to be in-house. It's not going to be breakout anymore. It's going to be an in-house session. And this session is going to be an interactive one. So the initial plan was really for us to move into different groups and discuss the common challenges that we face when setting goals and come up with how we can actually solve those challenges. So we're supposed to have 3 groups where we all come, and each group has someone that presents for them. But nonetheless, we're still going to have this interactive session. So I'll leave the floor open now. Please share in the comments, or you can unmute yourself to actually talk about some of the challenges that you have experienced while setting your goals. And if you have any solution that comes to mind, by all means, please also go ahead to share it. If not, while we're all talking about the challenges, I'll be documenting those challenges and would eventually share possible solutions to them. So the floor is open now. Please raise your hand if you have, if you want to share any challenge that you think you have experienced or you think might come up when setting your goal and that might prevent you from achieving the goal, and any possible solution. I would also be checking the chats. Okay, so when you say accountability, do you mean accountability to yourself or to people? Health challenges. Okay, thank you. Please keep dropping them. We'll discuss them while you are dropping. Accountability, health challenges. Please drop more of them. You can raise your hand too to speak. Okay, so while we're dropping them, finances, fear of failure, and adequate support. Thank you. Thank you for dropping more of them. So while we're dropping them, I would like to actually respond to possible solutions, all together. But please, if you have an idea of how these challenges can be managed, please drop those possible solutions in the chat. You can also raise your hand to speak to it. Okay, so while we're waiting for more problems or solutions for accountability, one thing I've learned over time is that nobody would push you as much as you push yourself, right? And in terms of solving the issue of being accountable, always go back to why you are doing something. If your reason is not founded, if your reason is not in line with your current situation, if it's not something that when you look at the reason you want to do this thing, it quickly reminds you of where you're headed. And even if you are tired, you don't feel like doing it, you actually are able to do it. So, in terms of accountability, one first way is to establish to yourself your reason for doing something. You can write it down, you can, make it in a visual form by showing the end goal. That's the first one. Then you can now fall back to looking for one or two friends who you know that when you share something you want to do with them and tell them, please, this is when I want to achieve it. Can you be checking in on me? Even sometimes without you telling them, they actually are on your case. They're like, what's up with this thing? You said you're going to start driving by a particular time. You said you're going to start up a poultry by the end of March. This is beginning of February. What's your plan? What do you intend to do this February so that you can work towards March, right? You can have such friends. If you're not able to have such friends, then you can find someone who most likely, I mean, these friends might be your mates, they might be people way older than you, they might be people that, you know, you sort of trust. Most importantly, you have to trust the person you're going to be telling these things to. But if you're not able to find people, your best accountability partner is God. And I'll tell you, you tell God, I want to do this. He said, present your plans before me and I will help you. Tell him you want to do this thing. You don't know how to do it. You're clueless. You're confused. You don't even know the direction. But that you need him to constantly remind you of it. You need him to constantly check in on you. He will not speak to you like as a human being, but he will send people. He will send friends, he will send strangers actually to remind you of those things, right? And you'll be able to achieve them. So those are like ways you can work around being accountable. In terms of health challenges, please, your health is actually important. No matter how big a goal is, if you're not strong enough, there will be no need chasing that goal. So it's okay to not achieve a particular goal. I've not gotten to that, but it's one of the things I'm going to say in front, right? When you set a goal, it doesn't mean that you're going to be rigid and say it must be this way. Sometimes, I don't know, some of us that might have experienced it, you plan to do a particular thing by a particular time, but for some reason, midway, things change. You're working towards being promoted, but then you've been applying for other roles, and then you get a new job. Your goal of being promoted has changed. Well, it has been achieved because maybe your reason for wanting to be promoted is because you want to increase your revenue. So by getting a new job, you've also increased your revenue. However, have you been promoted? Maybe not. Maybe yes. But your goal now changes to trying to actually understand what is happening in that new workplace. So once you set your goal, it's not cast in stone. You're the one who told yourself you want to do it. When things begin to change and it looks like certain things need to adjust, you can go back to the drawing board and say, okay, I'm no longer going to be doing this because this would replace that, right? But let's not be too used to it to the point that we are quick to always scatter and rejig everything. It now brings in some level of confusion. Then in terms of finances, fear of failure, and adequate support, depending on what you want to do, there are other types of resources that you can leverage that may not be financial. If it's a business, there you can ask yourself, how do I start this business without money? Yes, it can be said that, oh, you need money to do business, but there are people. Okay, you can ask yourself, can I look for a vendor who I can speak to, collect products from, sell, pay the vendor, and begin to do that way? That's one way to start the business, right? Or one way to generate finance. Then this thing I need money for, is there any other way I can achieve it without spending money? For example, I need to I don't know what example will come to mind now, but like there's something you need to do, but in your mind is money that is your problem. Can I ask a friend who I know knows how to do? For example, I want to sign up for I want to write PMP, and it seems like I need to buy learning materials. Do I have a friend who has taken this exam before that I can borrow the learning materials? Can I use YouTube? What other alternatives do I have that are not financially related? Fear of failure. If you are scared to do a particular thing, throw the fear out and tell yourself that I'm not doing this for anybody, I'm doing it for myself. And I think that what can lead to fear of failure, one of the things might also be a lack of self appreciation. If you don't even know what you can do, you would fear that you are not able to do it. So, first things, bear it in mind that everybody is almost clueless. Nobody knows what they're doing. We're all just winging it, to be honest. Even that your line manager, that your boss that is doing like he knows all the business strategies, we're all winging it. And there's always that tendency that you're going to fail. However, what puts you ahead of someone else is your ability to actually start. If you eventually fail, fine. You've learned from it. What happened? How could I have changed it? How could I have made it better? You would not, because of fear, you now refuse to go into a certain thing, or because of failure. There's an adage in Igbo that says, Ade Korumbabu Garobu. I most likely will fail at this thing, but will I do it? Yes. So you need to remind yourself that. And then in terms of adequate support, like I already mentioned, you may never have everybody tell you and be there for you, but you can rely on two constants: yourself, God, then by God's grace, other people, friends, family that are there to support you. But if you don't get that kind of support, it's okay, because maybe they don't even believe in your goal, right? And then being indecisive on goals to set, this one goes beyond the physical, actually. There's a need to sit with yourself and ask yourself, why am I living? Why am I alive? God, what do you want me to do? What do you want from me? Like, what is that thing that you want me to focus on right now? And I kid you not, He's going to reveal it to you if you ask genuinely, right? So, in terms of being indecisive, you need to, sometimes we go too far. Come close, come back, come home and say, okay, I am currently working 9 to 5. That should be one of my first priorities. I want to start a business. Next priority. Why? Because I want to generate income. I would not now say, oh, I want to be going out more. I mean, it's okay, I want to be going out more. But I know that they're already priority one and priority two. So that one, I can't take it to priority one. So there's a need to sit with yourself and also decide on all of those things. Giving up before starting for fear of failure, I think I already spoke to that. Comparing oneself and feeling late when one wants to start anything. Hello, dear. Uh, when you wake up is your morning. In Igbo, mijitete bụ ụtụtụ gị. So, in essence, there's never a late time to start anything. When it comes to you is when you actually start. If you don't think of what you want to do and set it out clearly, you would genuinely feel like you're late. And that's when you begin to compare yourself. So, first of all, remind yourself that I am Purity, I am Adobe, I am not Nkechi. What can Purity do? A, B, C, D. Nkechi can do E, F, G. I love it for her, but I will bask in what I can do. And I'm not late to the party. I feel like I'm late because I don't even know anything about AI. All this tech thing is so clueless. Good. But can I start? Well, yes, there are resources. So I'll start small. It's going to be difficult. I'll feel like a dumb person when I start, but I think that's part of learning. So I make peace with myself that in the first few times you're going to do this thing, you're going to sound funny. You're going to look stupid, but it's part of the process, right? So you take away the part of um, thinking that everybody knows what they're doing. We all really are winging our lives. Like we have never lived this life before. We are all working and learning as we're living. So that's another solution to that. Then discouragement on a goal from family and friends. That's why we all need to be careful who we share our goals with. There are some goals that you don't need to tell people about. Actually, keep them to yourself, between you and God. Talk to God about it. Pray about it. I mean, if you have someone who you speak to, occasionally, you can also test to see if you trust them enough to share that goal with them. However, ask the Holy Spirit for discernment so that when you even share it with them, if they sound like they're trying to discourage you, you're asking God to help you know if that response they're giving you is what you should truly be thinking about, or you just need to get into it. You must do a self questioning and check with yourself that you are convinced in this thing, and you shoot your shot on it. People outside may never understand it. Your intuition, the Holy Spirit also like speaking to you and you asking genuinely grants you more clarity than really depending on people. Thank you very much, Rita, for actually sharing a solution for health challenges. Distraction, social media, that is where time blocking comes in. You can there are certain apps you can there are apps you can use. For some people's phones, you can set focus time. For me, I set from 8 to 3 p.m. every day as focus time, except weekends, because I know that between 8 and 5 I'll be at work. So I make sure that I'm my phone is going to gray out and there are apps I can't open. So you can use focus time on your phone. You can also use put your phone on grayscale. Like instead of having it colored, you put it on grayscale so that those apps, those colors don't attract you to want to open them, right? And another thing is self-awareness. When you find yourself trying to open the app, you can now quickly check yourself to say, this is not what you're supposed to be doing now, right? And then all of that. And I think discipline really grows over time. Confidence and courage speaks to self awareness. We need to be very much aware of ourselves. It's a long journey, to be honest. You never really know yourself fully. So imagine people that are trying to know you. It's already even difficult for you, not to talk of them. So we need to constantly remind ourselves of our why. We need to fall back to our identity in God and who God has actually made us to be. It may not be clear, but we are certain that God has not made us to be people that do bare minimum or people that are not excellent, right? So we need to fall back to that. And for each time I'm trying to do something new, I'm trying to do something and I'm not confident, I'm feeling like I'm not even worthy enough to do this thing. A quick reminder: the next person sitting near me is probably thinking the same thing. That man standing on the podium and giving us that session is feeling like, I hope this thing I'm saying is making sense. Purity that is talking about goal setting and planning is saying, there are some goals I set I've not achieved though. So in essence, your confidence is you that's going to give yourself, right? And you constantly need to be your own cheerleader before even looking out for external cheerleaders. Thank you for these challenges that we've shared. So moving forward on other ways that we can actually overcome these challenges and some other challenges that may come up in the way is over planning. Perfectionists, please stop planning, just start doing. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. For example, breakout room. I just realized that maybe I should have set it up before joining the session, but I didn't. So we are here discussing it, right? No matter how much you plan, you're not able to predict what will happen and what will not happen. So stop the planning, not stop completely, but don't over plan. Move on to action. And then, like I already mentioned, don't stay fixed on what you set out to do. Remind yourself that things can change. And when things do, try to make adjustments. Procrastination, please do not put off that work until tomorrow. And as I'm speaking to you, I'm also speaking to myself. Yeah. So don't put off your work until tomorrow. Do it now and get it done with. And remind yourself that it doesn't have to be perfect. What is important is that you're consistent at it and you're making progress. And when you feel there's a lack of motivation, you need to build your willpower. You need to build the ability to say yes. You need to build the ability to say no. I saw a video of Eric Gugwa on Instagram at some point, and he was he did a demo. He was telling people, when you know that when you do your tongue this way, do your whatever, and when you try to mouth that posture of your mouth, you will hear no. So let's also learn to say no to things that are distractions. It's difficult, but it's a habit we can all learn to start building. Then, of course, things can never be perfect. There'll be difficulties, there'll be obstacles in the way. But let those obstacles that we face also serve as good starts to us. And if we feel like what we want to do is a lot, simply break it down into small bits and pieces. And with that, you're able to move on to achieve them. Then how can we stay committed to these things? We need to create a schedule. What time do I want to wake up? What time do I want to have this class? What time do I want to study? Create a schedule. And most of us already know it's called plan of life. When do I want to say my prayer? When do I want to study? When do I want to go to work? Put a time to everything. Some people will tell you, oh, does it not make your life too rigid? I mean, it simply just makes you organized and it makes you very much aware most of the time. And it also gives you some level of control over certain things. And then try to focus on the systems that you're setting up to help you achieve these goals and not just the fact that you want to achieve something. It's good that we're looking forward to achieving something. However, if I want to wake up by 4 a.m., I can't be sleeping by 2 a.m. I've already messed up the system. So going back to setting up the system is simply making sure that I sleep early so I wake up early, right? The outcome is to wake up early, but what system can I put in place? I put my phone on airplane mode once it's 9 p.m. or 9:30, move it away from me just to even help me sleep. I probably will pick up a book just to read and sleep off. Maybe I have a goal to read certain number of pages every day. I can read it in the morning or I can read it at night, or I want to reduce screen time. I tell myself that once it's 9:30 and my alarm goes off on my phone, I am putting the phone away and I'm staying away from the screen for 30 minutes before I go to bed, right? So you have to also make sure that you're checking in on your goals. We cannot write all these things, use smart framework, schedule our calendar, write it in our notepads, and then we throw everything to one corner in our room. We need to always check in to say, how am I doing? You can decide on your frequency for doing a goal review. It can be, recommendation, personal recommendation would be monthly. Maybe every week you do a quick check on what you really achieved this week, because you would have set out some daily activities that you want to achieve, and by the end of the week you fall back to check if you achieve them, and by the end of the month all those small activities, daily to-dos, weekly tasks come together to give you the achieved goal for what you had in mind for the month. Please also learn how to reduce your goals. Like sometimes we tend to over imagine what we can achieve, so it's important to maybe 2 to 3 goals I must achieve within a particular quarter. One major goal. A book I recommend, I've not actually read it, but people talk a lot about it, is the I think is 12-week year, where you consider a week as a month and a month as a year. That way, you're able to manage things that you see you want to do in this month, but restructure your brain to think that that month is 1 year and you're making sure that you're achieving it. That's simply just breaking down your goals. Then we can also leverage on accountability partners, like we already mentioned. When you do something that you've set your mind to do, please celebrate it. It might be as little as waking up by 4 once in 7 days. Please celebrate it. Or waking up by whatever time. Use a reward system too to encourage yourself. You said you're going to go to the gym maybe 3 times a week. 3 times you go to the gym in a week, you can tell yourself that, oh, I'm going to buy this favorite parfait that I love. I'm going to bring out money to buy it, and then you can actually also start out with those smaller things that are not going to take so much of your time for you to achieve quick wins, so that it sort of creates that boost that you need to use to start and continue. And please, this I cannot even overemphasize it. Like, revisit your why. If you are doing something just because there's a problem, if you are doing something, because everybody is doing it, that's where there's already downfall coming up. And then adjust your goals as needed. Don't feel guilty. There's this favorite quote that I like from The Way, written by Sir Wilson Maria Escriva, with the title character. It simply says, excuses. You will always find plenty if you want to avoid your obligations. What a profusion of well thought out nonsense. Don't stop to consider it, dismiss it, and do your duty. There will always be distractions, there will always be excuses. Oh, I can't wake up early because I'm so tired. I had a lot to do yesterday. Oh, I can't read now because my leg is paining me. Excuses, we will definitely find them, but we have to actually dismiss those excuses if we really want to achieve what we have set our minds to. In case we feel down and we're not sure why we want to do them, we go back to our why and get motivation from it. So that now brings us to the last part of our session today, where we have established the need for goal setting. It gives us clarity, helps us to be consistent, helps us to stay flexible as well, so that we are not, stifling our own success, right? And we're using the SMART framework to set our goals. We're making sure that we're not just setting goals, up in the sky. We're setting up systems that can help us. And we are paying attention to ourselves, patterns in our lives that actually prevent us from achieving things. It can be the way you talk about yourself. I don't know how to do this and I can't do it. Instead of saying that, you can actually say, okay, while I'm not sure how to do it, I will make efforts. The moment you say you can't do it and you don't know how to do it, you will eventually not do it and you may never be able to do it, right? So habits that we have formed that have made it difficult for us to achieve things, we need to check and reevaluate them and pay attention to when we're falling into them. Not to say we will not fall, but when we do, we need to do a quick walk back and help ourselves get better at them. and already established, celebrate our small wins and give ourselves grace because we're just humans. We are just adults, and adulthood is what? Adulting. So that actually brings us to the end of today's session. I don't know if we have any question that I would like to ask or any comments and all. Okay, please share in the comments what your major takeaway from this session has been, and something please help drop the post workshop survey because I would like to also be sure that you understood what was discussed here and you don't have any confusions. Just in case you want to also discuss further and you want to talk more about certain things that we have discussed here, like how do you even make sure that you're setting clear goals, how do you practically carry out these things you decided to do, discussing how to even pay attention to when there are some difficulties or barriers that are preventing you, and also working on setting up realistic and sustainable systems. Please feel free to reach out to me. Yeah, I'm available for a one-on-one clarity session. Something will also drop the link in the chat for you to book a clarity session if you need that. But please go ahead to fill the post workshop survey so that we are sure that you have actually gained a lot from this session. I don't know if there are questions or comments. Please, I would like us to unmute ourselves. Drop stickers, copy, drop emojis. Drop some reactions. I would like to see how you feel. I mean, how has the session been for you? If it's been interesting for you, please drop stickers. And if you've learned a thing or two, you can also either unmute to share what you've learned or drop it in the chat box. Hi, IJ. Thank you for raising your hand. By all means, take the floor and let's hear you.
Thank you very much, Purity. I think this was a very insightful learning for me. And in as much as I was having difficulty joining early, so I joined a bit late, like 25-30 minutes. But then I was able to still catch up and picked a few things. And I actually dropped a comment in the chat box. One of the key takeaway for me, I was actually going to speak on that, but hearing you mention it, I was like, no, you're actually led by the Spirit. That would be setting overambitious goals, because I know most times we tend to um forget that these things have timelines, and then we know there are going to be obstacles, but we just don't want all those setbacks to actually make us feel like we can't achieve them. So we just set goals that are not realistic based on the timeline that we want to achieve them. So we need to actually sit down and recollect, put things in check, and ensure that those goals that we are setting are things that we can achieve and work towards them. So that was a very wonderful training from you, and I really appreciate. So thank you very much for today's session.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. I'm glad that you actually got something and you also were able to share. Thank you very much, ID. That was very, very helpful. And I think I fall victim of that. I mean, last year, I had a lot that I planned to do. I mean, if I had gone head on to do them, I think I would have. However, I also quickly reminded myself that based on certain situations and circumstances, some of those things, they were not bad that I said them, but it was looking like I was overreaching. So I just told myself, some of these goals I didn't achieve in 2025, I'm not going to dump them. I'll carry them on to 2026, refine them, make them better to fit my current situation. So that does not mean that, I mean, it still goes on to say that if you have planned to do certain things in 2025 and you were unable to do them, you don't need to trash them, provided they are still relevant to you at this time. You can go back and refine them and actually make them better. So yeah, so the post workshop survey is bit.ly/ post workshop survey. Please let's just let me see if I'll drop the link from this slide. So someone dropped in the chat box that is not um It's not working. Then just to also mention, this slide is going to be shared via our emails. I've also included bonus resources, suggested books that we can read to also help us, samples of how to sample templates on Canva on how to set and create a vision board and all, so we can actually um, use those resources as well. Again, if you would like to discuss beyond this particular setup, if you'd like to have a personal conversation, you know, with me on your goal, please feel free to sign up on this link that I'm going to be dropping so that we can actually discuss one on one and see how to move it forward. Meanwhile, for the people who actually participated in the game, the top three winners, please do not hesitate to send me an email. Please send an email actually. Just reply the email that was used to invite you to the session. Sharing when you'll be available with your phone number and we can pick it up from there. Okay, yes, the link to also have a clarity session will be included. So after this session, you would receive an email. The email will contain the slide that was used for this session. It would also contain the post-workshop survey for those of us that have not been able to fill the survey, and it would also include the link to book the one-on-one session to see how to move our goals forward from planning to execution. So yes, thank you very much for having me. It was a very, very insightful session for me too. I learned a lot while teaching. Thanks, IJ, and for everyone who also participated through chats, through the games, and yeah, I'll excuse myself now for something to continue.
Close the chat for her. She has done an amazing session. Thank Thank you, T, for the. I think I learned so much from this session. Like, in fact, I think I know how to now plan my life right now because everything was just was hot over here. So thank you so much for joining today. And please let's do the pre and post survey session and workshop. Thank you so much as you do so. And we're about to end. Thank you so much. If you still have any questions, you can in the email, you can still send her an email and let her know what she wanted to say. Like maybe I shy of saying it out loud. I don't know, but you can send an email and tell her everything that you tell her. Thank you so much, and we are adjourned. Thank you so much. Bye.